Welcome, and I'd like to thank you for holding and inform you that your lines are on a listen only during today's conference until the question and answer session. At that time, if you'd like to ask a question, you'll press star then 1. Today's call is being recorded. If we have any objections, you may disconnect. Now I'd like to turn to Linda Lee. Ma'am, you may begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Linda Lee. I am with the Economic Programs Directorate at the U.S. Census Bureau. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar on Hidden Gems. This is the 6th installment of the Economics Programs webinar series. We began our series with the first session on healthcare, presented on March 15th. Since then, we have presented one every month featuring a different topic and sector of the economy. If you missed any one of the series, the recordings are archived on census.gov under the Data, Training, and Workshop. Today we will be exploring Census Bureau programs that produce statistics on different sectors of the economy. I will be presenting the data available from our business program areas that we consider hidden gems. These are programs that are not as visible as some of our other highly visible programs. We have allotted time for Q&A at the end of the session, and the operator will be standing by to take your questions. Before we proceed, I want to provide information on our series. The flyer on the right of this slide shows that we began our series with 6 topics. Based on the popularity of our series, we have decided to include an additional webinar next month on data literacy. You can visit the link provided here if you're interested in learning more. Our series follow a consistent structure where you will be provided with available data on the topic, and the data will use illustrations from real-life scenarios. We have a lot of materials to cover today. Some of the items will be briefly touched on. I highly encourage each of you to download the archive materials so you can dive deeper yourself into the information that you will see here today. Before we dive into our hidden gems, let's begin with a brief overview of several well-known Census Bureau programs. The Census Bureau is the largest U.S. statistical agency, conducting over 130 surveys each year. During the decennial, we are the second largest employer in the United States. Listed along the right side of the slide are some of our more publicly recognized programs. The decennial, taking place every 10 years. The economic census, every 5 years in the years ending in 2 and 7. The Census of Governments, also taking place every 5 years, is the public sector counterpart of the economic census, which collects business data from the private sector, and the American Community Survey on an annual basis. A pyramid is a good illustration of the relationships between our business or economic programs. We primarily conduct monthly, quarterly, and annual surveys. In looking at this pyramid, you should note that there is an inverse relationship between the timeliness and the detail of the data that we collect. That is, the most current data has the least amount of detail, while the less current data will contain more amount of detail. With that being said, the economic census is a periodic survey that takes place every 5 years. It is illustrated here at the bottom of the pyramid because it is the most comprehensive program when you are looking for business data. As you move up the pyramid to our annual programs, you will find that you can use these statistics for analyzing trends. Finally, at the very top of the pyramid from monthly and quarterly programs is where you can obtain timely data. To understand the economic data Census publishes, you need to be familiar with the key terms that we use. First is the North American Industry Classification System, also referred to as the NAICS. This is a system that we use to classify every business in the United States and is the primary dimension of business employment data you'll see today. Each physical business location is assigned its own 6-digit NAICS code based on primary business activities at that location. Each individual business data are then turned into summary statistics we publish by industry and geography. Next is the term establishment, as opposed to company or firm. Most of our employment data is collected and published on an establishment level. Collecting the data this way allows us to provide the most accurate picture of business activity. So for instance, if a company has both manufacturing and retail locations in many states, separate data is captured for each location and not the company as a whole. If we didn't collect data this way, we would lose the accuracy and geographic and industry detail. Third, we collect data from both employer and non-employer establishments. Some programs only cover employer businesses while others covers both. Employers are businesses that have at least one paid employee, while non-employer businesses have no paid employees. These are primarily self-employed people. Finally, we are bound by Title 13 and 26 to uphold and protect privacy. As a result, we're able to provide high-quality data because respondents are more likely to provide information, knowing that their privacy will be protected. On the previous slide, I had mentioned the NAICS code. Here's a list of codes by sector at the 2-digit level. The Census Bureau publishes data for most of the codes you see here. One exception is the agricultural sector, which is the 2-digit NAICS code 11. We have limited data for this sector. Data from this sector is available from our program, the County Business Patterns, where you will be able to obtain agricultural data on the number of establishments, the number of employees, and first quarter payroll. Complete data on farms and other agricultural activities is available from the National Agricultural Statistics Services. The sectors that you see listed in blue are actually the ones that have been featured in this webinar series or recently presented and archived on our site. So if you are interested in the deeper dive on these sectors, please access the archive presentation through the training and workshops. Now that we've seen the highly visible programs, let's explore our less visible data. The table on this slide features some of our hidden gems. This is not an inclusive list of our hidden gems. The programs listed in bold are ones that we are in partnership and sponsored by external agencies. I will briefly touch on these, and I will point you to where you can obtain the data from our partners. One exception is the statistics of U.S. businesses. Although in partnership with the Small Business Administration, you can obtain data from this program from the U.S. Census Bureau. I will be diving into the rest of the programs on this table. From each of these programs, I will relate the data to our use case scenario. So for today's use case scenario, we will be examining census business data through the eyes of an investor looking to invest. We will be exploring the data by geography and diving into different aspects of our potential business. What I will be presenting is merely a fraction of the data that we collect and publish. When you have a moment to visit our site, you can see a list of our programs by selecting Surveys and Programs and click on All Surveys and Programs. Another good way to explore census data is to use our data tools to perform general searches. The tools are found under Data and then select Data, Tools, and Apps section. Let's dive right into one of our precious gems. In our use case, our investor is looking to invest. One of the primary components to examine may include knowing the comings and goings of people who are already in the industry. That's where you can use our data from the Business Dynamic Statistics, also commonly referred to as the BDS. The BDS program is able to answer, what is the rate of opening and closing for establishments classified in selected sectors? And which region of the country has more growth? The BDS is a program that collects data on employment and establishment status. Using data from the BDS, you can obtain information on net job creation. Net job creation is a figure derived from taking the number of job creation minus the number of job destruction. On the right, I have included a related product to the BDS, the Business Formation Statistics, also commonly referred to as the BFS. The BFS provides timely and high-frequency data on new business applications. The BFS also provides actual and projected new businesses originating from these applications. For our use case, we will be looking at establishment status data from the BDS. When we think of status of establishments, here are some specific characteristics that you can find out using the BDS. Startups, shutdowns, number of establishments, establishment age, size, and establishment initial size. So for our 2015 statistics are tabulated using the following categories: state, sector, firm age and size, firm initial size, and for metro and non-metro areas. The BDS provides the opportunity for time series analysis as well. Annual statistics are available from 1976 to 2015, and the geography includes nationwide, state, metro, non-metro, and MSA. Our MSA goes up to 2014. Currently, the BDS uses the Standard Industrial Classification System, also commonly referred to as the SIC. There are plans to switch over to the NAICS in the future. This map shows the birth rate of establishments for all sectors by firms as reported in 2014. Statistics from 2015 are available, but only at the national level. The map shows that the Southwest region reported a higher level of new establishments entering the sector when compared to other regions, followed by the Northwestern region. Looking at this map, an investor could choose to invest in one region over another based on individual criteria. On this map, you can see the establishment exit rate by region. When you compare the birth rate from the earlier slide to this slide, you will notice that in 2014, some states experienced a high level of business entrance with a moderate level of exit, and vice versa. As a region, the Southwest region experienced a higher level of establishment exiting the sector. This is a time series of the birth rate of establishments for firms of all sizes from 1977 to 2014. You can see that the trend portrays a pattern of rise and fall over the years. And overall, you can see that there is a decline in business dynamism in the U.S. over time. On this slide, I've selected a few data points to point out. When you look at the data, you can see that the manufacturing and services sectors, based on the SIC codes, portray a similar pattern to that of the economy-wide, shown in black. The BDS allows you to also compare data by state. Here are selected states. Although for the majority of the time the rates for states seem to parallel to that of the nation, you can see that there are times when they do not, such as in the case of Texas, shown in green, and California, shown in orange. I wanted to include a slide on job statistics from the BDS. This slide shows the number of jobs created by establishments in 2014 for firms of all ages in all sectors. The blue bars represent job created by establishment birth, while the black bars represent job created by continuing establishments over the last 12 months. This graph portrays that in 2014, continuing or existing firms born before 1976 reported a sizable amount of job destruction, followed by firms that have been in operation of 26 or more years. This graph shows the number of job loss. When looking at this data, one would have to consider that the older firms also account for more employment. When you use the BDS data tool, you can recreate this graph by rate. When you recreate this graph by rate, you will find that the reverse is true. The rate of job loss is higher for younger firms and declines as the firm age increases. Let's take a look at the BDS data by sector. This is data for firms of all ages in 2014. Along the left-hand side in the first column are the number of years in business. It appears that according to the data, in 2014, young firms in the finance, insurance, and real estate sector reported a slightly higher rate of new establishments entering than did young firms in other sectors. When you have a moment after this webinar, there is a visualization tool that is available for this program. When you are in the tool, you will have the options to create thematic maps, cross-sectional bar charts, and time series graphs such as the ones you've seen illustrated in this webinar so far. Returning to the use case, our investor has now been able to analyze the birth and exit rates for the different sectors of the economy. From the BDS program. The BDS program also allowed our investor to analyze job creation and destruction in these sectors. Now let's say that our investor is interested in investing in the manufacturing sector. Let's take a look at the financial data for the manufacturing sector. How much does the manufacturing sector contribute to the U.S. sales and profits? Another one of our hidden gems data is the quarterly financial report, also known as the QFR. The QFR is a program that has over 70 years of quarterly aggregate statistics. Data from this program serves as the primary source for the current estimates of corporate profits for the nation's gross domestic income account. Other uses include assessing industrial debt structure, liquidity, and profitability, estimating corporate tax liability, designing economic policies, drafting legislation, making investment evaluations, such as in our use case, and studying economic trends. Our investor is interested in finding out the approximate amount of working capital typical for the sector over time. The QFR is able to provide this comparison. Let's take a look at our manufacturing sector for a moment. This time series shows that working capital for the manufacturing sector rises and falls from 2000 to 2018. When you get the opportunity to examine the data behind this time series, you'll notice that the first quarter of 2017 dropped to the level comparable to the first quarter of 2009. Diving further into a specific type of manufacturing, our investor is thinking about investing in manufacturing plastics and rubber products. Here's a snapshot of data table from the QFR. This slide shows data on sales, operating profits, and after-tax profits by quarter for the plastic and rubber products manufacturing, also known under the 3-digit level NAICS code 326. You can easily create a time series analysis using our time series and trend charts feature found under the Business and Industry section on census.gov. And what about the overall picture of asset and debt? Here is a time series for the plastic and rubber products manufactured in the United States. As you can see here, short-term debt for loans with a maturity date of 1 year or less has ebbed and flowed over the past 10 years. Total current assets seems to be steadily rising. One of the most important aspects of this investment decision into plastic and rubber products sector is sales, receipts, and operating revenues. Based on this time series, it appears that this is a sector that has overall reported an upward trend in net sales, receipts, and operating revenues for the past decade. You can obtain net working capital data from the QFR. Here we see that net working capital for plastic and rubber products has increased over the past 10 years. This is a list of select items you can obtain from the QFR in order to do research on a sector's financial health. When you use the time series and trend charts feature that I had mentioned earlier, these are some of the items that appear as selections in the drop-down menu. This is not a complete list. The complete list is provided in the reference section at the end. Here's another aspect of the financial picture for our investors to consider. How do capital expenditures in the manufacturing sector compare to other sectors in the U.S. economy? This data is available from our annual capital expenditure surveys, also known as ACEs. You can obtain statistics from the annual survey of manufacturers, but for today's presentation, we will focus on the ACEs. On this slide, data is from the 2006 to 2015 annual capital expenditure surveys. ACEs collect information on expenditures for new and used structures and equipment by all U.S. non-farm businesses. You can also obtain a derivative product from the ACEs called the Capital Spending Report. The report covers spending by two-digit NAICS industry sector in a 10-year moving window, ending with the most recent ACEs reference year. The report also looks at investment shares over time, and you will be able to find data to see which industries are growing or shrinking and where firms and capital markets perceive the greatest economic opportunity. On the whole, both types of expenditures appear to be steady with a slight dip in 2009. From our use case, we have been examining the plastic and rubber industry, which is NAICS code 326. I created a snapshot of data from our ACEs program here. As you can see, you can obtain data regarding expenditures for structure and equipment when planning to invest. In this analysis, NAICS 326 for plastic and rubber products is shown at the very bottom of the graph. This is only a snapshot of the graph. Overall, the statistics show that this sector reported a decline in capital expenditures of approximately 9.9%. This snapshot also shows you that capital expenditures vary, with some industries reporting increase while others decrease. The ACEs program is also able to provide you with a big picture of expenditures compared to other sectors. In the green at the top, we see the manufacturing sector reporting the greatest amount of capital expenditure on equipment. You can obtain ACEs data on census.gov. As shown here, historical data is available online back to 1996. Well, now that our investor has been able to gauge capital expenditures as part of the investment decision, let's move along to another aspect of investment that our investor may want to consider. What are the size of manufacturing businesses? For this question, you can find the data from our Statistics of U.S. Business Program, also known as the SUSB. The SUSB annual or statistic data include number of firms, number of establishments, employment, annual payroll for most U.S. business establishments. And the data are tabulated by geographic area, industry, employment size of the enterprise. Some things to note about this program. When you see an establishment with 0 employment, it is an establishment with no paid employee in the mid-March pay period, but with paid employees at some time during the year. Also, special tabulations or custom tabulations of business establishments are available upon request. Tabulations are prepared on a fee-for-service basis. Adhering to our use case, the SUSB can provide statistics on what is typical employment in the plastic and rubber manufacturing industry by the size of the enterprise. Before we proceed with the discussion of this program, I wanted to provide key terms that may be useful when you use the SUSB data. Sometimes when these terms are used, people tend to think they are interchangeable, so I provided a visual here to distinguish them. As illustrated here, an establishment is defined as a single physical location, whereas an enterprise consists of one or more establishments under common ownership. And finally, a firm is one or more establishments in the same state and industry under common ownership. The data you see on this slide is from the Statistics of U.S. Businesses Employment and Payroll Summary Report. This graph shows that in 2012, enterprises with 500 or more employees in the manufacturing sector, shown in red, employed more people than enterprises with fewer than 500 employees. When you look across the sectors, you see that there are times when enterprises with fewer than 500 employees employ a larger amount in the sector, such as in the case of professional, scientific, and technical services sector, highlighted in green. As you can see, the SUSB is a source available to you when looking for data on firms and establishments with corresponding employment and annual payroll. Data is available at the 2 through 6-digit NAICS level. Now let's move to another aspect of business, benefits. How does health insurance in the manufacturing sector compare to other sectors in the U.S. economy? To answer this question, the Census Bureau is in partnership and sponsored by the Department of Health and Human Services to collect health insurance data for the Medical Expenditure Panel Survey Insurance Component, also known as MEPS-IC. MEPS-IC data is available on both the national and state level and covers both the private and public sectors. You can access MEPS-IC data from our sponsors by using the link provided here at the bottom right corner of the slide. Because the Census Bureau does not publish the data for MEPS-IC, I will briefly show you a quick snapshot of the type of data you can access from the Department of Health and Human Services, Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality. This is a table on private sector employees by firm size and other select characteristics. Health insurance data is available for the nation at the very top. In the red outline, data is available by sector. In the blue outline, data is available by for-profit and nonprofits. In the orange, by age of firm. This information is also obtained from the BDS program. In the green, by union and non-union employees. This is only a snapshot of one of the many tables and data that is available for your research. This slide was created by the survey sponsor and is part of the sponsoring agency's presentation on the 2016 MEPS data. You can obtain the full presentation by using the link that I provided on the previous slide. In our use case, our capitalist wants to be competitive with other businesses and is looking to get a general picture on providing benefits for their employees. This graph portrays the percentage of private sector employees in establishments that offer health insurance by firm size from 2003 to 2016. On this slide, firm size of less than 50 employees that offer health insurance by state is illustrated. Before we move along to a different aspect of our investor, we may want to consider online data that you can obtain from the Agency of Healthcare Research and Quality link provided on an earlier slide. Glancing over this screenshot, you can see that there is a wealth of information that you are able to obtain, ranging from publications to summary data table and even presentation slides. Moving to another aspect of our investment, what is the typical mode of transportation, weight, and distance shipped for a given sector? You can obtain this data from the Commodity Flow Survey, also known as the CFS. Here's a brief overview of the Commodity Flow Survey. The Commodity Flow Survey is a joint effort by the Bureau of Transportation and the U.S. Census Bureau. The survey is a primary source of national and state-level data on domestic freight shipment by establishment in mining, manufacturing, wholesale, auxiliaries, and selected retail and services trade industries located in the 50 states and the District of Columbia. Data are provided on the type, origin and destination, value, weight, modes of transportation, distance shipped, and tons miles of commodities shipped. The CFS is conducted every 5 years as part of the economic census. It provides a modal picture of national freight flows and represents the only publicly sourced of commodity flow data for the highway mode. The survey was conducted in 1993, 1997, 2002, 2007, and most recently in 2012. The CFS assesses the demand for transportation facilities and services, energy use, and safety risk and environmental concerns. The CFS collects data on shipments originating from industries, including exports. Imports are not included until the point that they leave the importer's initial domestic location for shipment to another location. These two graphs illustrate value of shipment and distance shipped by weight for all sectors by all modes of transportation. The graph on the left shows that more total shipment value is made for shipments weighing 10 to 49,000 pounds. The graph on the right shows that shipment weighing less than 50 pounds tend to average longer distance, followed by shipments of 100,000 pounds or more. The graph on the left shows that wholesale trade and the manufacturing sectors in 2012 reported value of shipment that are close to one another. The graph on the right shows that manufacturing sector ships further in average miles. Shown in red, I've included data on the plastics and rubber manufacturing products on the graph as well, so you can see how the industry compares to the sector as a whole. This slide shows the percent change in shipment characteristics for plastic and rubber manufacturing sector. As shown here, you are able to find out the ton miles, tons, and value of shipments for each of the regions. An investor could use this type of information when looking to invest. I encourage you to dive deeper into CFS data as there is a rich amount of information available for you. For instance, this slide shows a comparison by mode of shipments by originating geography for the plastic and rubber product sector in 2012. Here you see the value of shipments by truck versus rail is depicted for each of the regions. For both modes of transportation, it appears that shipments for the plastic and rubber product sector being transported by truck and rail primarily originates from the South and the Midwest. And finally, this slide is a screenshot from a data table to illustrate that the CFS can provide data on additional modes of transportation. As you can see, the data can be detailed down to multiple modes of transportation. So the key takeaway from this program is that the CFS is a primary source of national and state level data on freight shipments by establishments. So, what other data could our investor explore? In addition to the hidden gems featured today, you can obtain additional statistics from our other programs listed here. This list is not inclusive. For example, check out our eStaps program, where you can obtain statistics on e-commerce activities. To view the list of our programs, you can visit our site, census.gov, and select Surveys and Programs, then All Surveys and Programs. The data everywhere, but where did it all come from, and how good is it? The answer to the first question is you. As data users, you may also be data providers when you receive our surveys. As you've already seen, monthly, quarterly, and annual surveys are useful to you in different ways. If you are in need of timely information, you will want to use our monthly and quarterly statistics, while our annual programs provide you with the ability to do time series analyses. Your response is valuable and always kept confidential. Because of this trust, the quality of our data is absolutely gold standard. You can use our economic census statistics when you need highly detailed data. We use the economic census as a baseline and benchmark for other surveys, thereby reinforcing quality for you. Your response to the economic census helped facilitate the success of many of the surveys featured today. The 2017 economic census is currently being conducted. The due date was June 12. but there is still time for companies to respond. Responses are required by law. To improve dissemination of the data and provide cost saving for taxpayers, response is available only online. Best of all, the results are available to you free of charge. Here's an overview of some of the information that the economic census collects and becomes data that is available to you. The categories that you see here are broad. This is our most comprehensive business data program. When you dive deeper into each of the categories, you will find a very rich and vast amount of statistics under each category. The information that we collect is disseminated into data that touches your life directly as you do research, or indirectly as this data is used by policymakers as a guide to direct policies and programs within your community. So the 2017 Economic Census was launched in May 2018. For those familiar with the program, there are some key changes for the 2017. First, responses are only online. And next, we do have a new reporting instrument for businesses with multiple locations. Finally, data collection timeframe is different. One of the primary things that everyone should know is that help is available online and via the telephone. Additional information and resources are available at the link provided here. So the key takeaway, the Census Bureau conducts over 130 surveys, and we have many programs that may not be highly visible that we consider hidden gems. You can access other hidden gems not mentioned today by visiting our site, census.gov. For our sponsored programs, please follow the links provided within the presentation. Data tools are available on our site to help with your research. Many of the graphs you've seen here today were created by tools that are available to you on our site. The economic census is the baseline for our economic programs, and your response is valuable to research and policy making on a national, state, and local government level. Before we begin the Q&A portion of the session, I wanted to remind everyone about our next webinar in the Economic Program Series scheduled for October 25th. I also want to remind you to check our training resources page for the recording of today's webinar. All the earlier webinars in the series are also posted on the site. Thank you to everyone for taking time out of your busy day to attend this webinar. At this time, we would like to open our phone lines and take any questions you might have about the materials covered today. Operator, do we have any questions at this time?
Thank you. At this time, if you would like to ask a question or have a comment, please press star, then 1. Due to the automated entry, you must state your name to the automated service so that I can announce you. Again, if you'd like to ask a question or have a comment, please press star, then 1. And to withdraw your question, you'll press star, then 2. And 1 moment, please. I do have some that just came in. 1 moment, please. Our first one will come from Beverly Austin. Your line is open, ma'am.
I'd like to know if I can review this again because I had some technical difficulties. I couldn't hear her for half of it.
Hi. So yes, our session should be posted within the week, and if you visit our site, census.gov, it's under the training and workshop area.
This is okay.
Our next question will come from Alex. Your line is open.
Probably the same answer. To get the slides for the presentation, I would go to census.gov training and workshop. Is that correct?
Yes. Hi, Alex. That is correct.
Okay. Okay.
And you will also be able to obtain transcripts as well.
And one other thing, how far down can somebody drill to get the data? Will you take it down to the census group block group level, or how far down?
Do you mean geography, or do you mean...
Geography.
Okay, so depending on what you're looking for, county, zip code level, could you hold on one moment? I want to verify something. Yes, so zip code level would be the lowest.
Zip code level. Okay, real good. Thank you. Oh, and I think the Census Bureau does a great job. Thank you very much. Very helpful information. I'm a planner, and I do commercial development, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye.
Great. Well, thank you.
Next question will come from Susan. Your line is open, ma'am.
Hi. I had a couple of questions. One, I think, was already answered. Census.gov, and then there'll be a link for the training page to replay today's entire program where I can see everything and then get these slides as well, because I was only able to access all of this through the phone, so I did not have any visuals today.
Oh, yes. So within the week, you should have access to the slides and the transcript. On Census.gov, there is a section under the training and workshop area.
Okay, and then my next question is, you had said something earlier that the Census Bureau puts together, it sounded like data packages where people would pay, I guess, the Census Bureau for that type of package?
Okay, so that is program specific. It's only for one program that we mentioned of today, and it's a fee for service basis.
Okay.
And hold on one moment, let me verify something. So that is also based on resources as requests come in. So it's not, so if you make a request, we would have to base it off the resources that we have currently.
Okay, thank you. And then also, is there an email that I could contact you if I had a question about anything that I will get later this week when it's available?
Yes, so what you see on this, what you see on the screen right now, you can contact me directly, and we also have an ask.census.gov where you can just send the questions and we will handle it.
So the slides will have your email in it, because like I said, I'm on the phone, so I can't see what you're referring to right now. I apologize.
Oh, okay. So, yes. So my direct contact is on the slide, and if you visit the presentation that will be archived, it's on the very last page.
Okay, thank you so much, and what a wonderful job you guys are doing with all of this. This is very helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Fred Smiley. Your line is open, Fred.
I think you pretty much answered most of my questions, basically reviewing this workshop. But you said the transcript will be available. Will the audio be recorded to go along with the slides, or just the transcript?
Yes, the audio will be included.
Great. That's it.
Thank you.
Next question will come from Jim Dolan. Your line is open, Jim. Jim, check your headset or mute button. Jim removed himself from the queue. Our next one will come from Jason. Your line is open, sir.
Yes. I went on the website, census.gov. So how do I get to the subdirectory where you can get the training?
Okay. So hold on one moment. I will give you specific instructions. Hey, Jason?
Yes.
So are you looking at the WebEx presentation right now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we are going to show you. Hold on one moment.
It was the previous slide, but it flashed. I want the exact spelling, so I don't type it wrong.
I'm not used to. It's the size of the screen. So when you go to data, you pick training and workshop, and then scroll down, and it should be recorded here under training opportunities, recorded webinars. And here, you, as you can see, you have access to all the previous ones and other training resources as well.
Okay, great. Let me save this website here.
Yes, and this is under the business section.
Okay, good. When I first went on the page, it popped a screen for you to register. So once you put the name there, then if there are any future webinars and stuff, I would get an email for that.
So to get emails, you would have to sign up, and I believe you will get messages from our Gov delivery system. And when you sign up, so I haven't signed up personally, but I believe that you get to pick the type of topics you're interested in. So you only receive emails when those type of topics have some sort of events.
Okay. So what is considered sign up? When I first went on the website, I had this popped up and asked me for an email address. Is that enough for a sign up, or is there another link I have to register?
So if this is Deb talking. So if you are on the training and workshop site, you can see that there is an option to stay connected on the top right-hand side. So that is enough to subscribe you. And as you go through the process of signing up, you do get to select from various topics. So every time we do have webinars or any events related to the topics you're interested in, then you will get that Gov delivery message.
Okay. Great.
Does that help?
Thank you very much. Yes, yes. Oh. Thank you so much. This is very helpful. Yeah. I appreciate your time doing this.
Next question will come from Gustavo. Your line is open, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you again to all the team for providing this service. And the question that I have is, we're very interested on the ag industry, and wanted to know if there's an API access to this same style of case study that you presented to us today, and if also food processing plants are also included in the manufacturing, or is it something that needs to be looked specifically under the agricultural NIACA's code?
Okay, could you hold on one moment, please?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so if you can send that question, are you looking at the WebEx link right now?
I am, yes.
With my information, if you can send that question, we can address it. There are different aspects of your question that we can provide information to, and it might be a little bit too difficult to explain right now over the phone.
Okay, very, very good. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Our next question will come from Brad Harris. Your line is open, sir.
Thank you, and I'll join others in saying this is very informative and helpful. As you went through the various sources of information, I had a couple questions. One was related to job creation and employment. As you were speaking, I was thinking about the growth of PEOs, or professional employment organizations. When you're looking at job creation or employment, are those entities treated as a NAICS code or a business code themselves, or are the customers that they service factored into the data?
Okay, hold on one moment. So thank you for asking that question. I've consulted with our subject matter experts, and we feel that this is a complicated question that is better explained via email. If you could email that to me as well. There are many facets to that response.
Okay, and me is.
It's on screen right now. It's my name, Lynda, Lee, L-E-E, @census.gov.
Great. And the other question, when you were specifically in the quarterly financial report discussion, I just had a question about the trend information, whether it was inflation adjusted or not.
No, it's raw data, not seasonally adjusted. It's not adjusted. It's raw data.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Our next question will come from Carol. Your line is open, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I joined the chorus in saying thank you so much for this webinar and any future ones because they were very helpful. I have a couple of questions, and it may be that I need to send an email as well, but I'll ask them anyway. The HVAC industry, manufacturing industry, is that something that's under the Department of Energy, or is that a manufacturing particular one? I'm just curious on that. And then I don't know whether you want me to just pause for you to respond or for me to just ask all my questions and you can take them one by one.
Okay, so because we do have a time limit, do you have many questions? It might serve you better if you send it to us if you have numerous questions, because then we
I do. Can you answer one, and then maybe that would help me, and then I'll send you actually all my questions. But if I wanted to know which industries relied heavily on H-1B visas, for example, that paid a prevailing wage, would that be something that I could find out from the data that is being provided at this point?
Okay, so that is not something that I can answer right now, and that's something that I would have to get back to you on.
Okay, so what I'll do, because I do have your email, I will just do a brief sentence on each question that I have, and then I can get your information from that. And then the final one is there any type of assisted tutorial that one can take to be able to navigate this system, to learn it a little more better so that they can extrapolate the data independently as opposed to fee for services? I know we got a brief overview, but it is a great deal of data. And, for those of us who want to burrow down into it, which it sounds like many on this call do, is there any type of assistance that we can call so that someone can help us navigate?
Okay, so to answer your question, it depends on which program you're looking at. Basically, we have different data tools, and we do have tutorials on that training and workshop site that was shown earlier. You can certainly go there and do a search, and we have instructions and how-to videos on how to use the data tools. And if you have any additional questions on the data tools, you can always contact my area, and the telephone number is up on the screen right now. It's 1-800-242-2184, and we will get you in contact with the right program area.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
Sure. You're welcome.
Next question will come from Dominga. Your line is open, sir.
Oh, that's Ibanga. Thank you very much. Thank you, Linda, for the education. And I'm interested in exporting. I wanted to find out if there is any census data to support U.S. companies with interest in doing business in select countries, in select foreign countries.
So I could provide you additional information on the import-export data that we have, but on the whole, what are you looking for? Are you looking for companies overseas, or I'm not too clear on what you're looking for.
I'm just looking for demographics, to support export, the product.
Okay, so you're looking for demographics, international demographics?
Yes, please.
Okay, so unfortunately that is out of scope for our agency, so that is not something that we are able to provide.
Okay, thank you.
Our next question will come from Ramona. Your line is open, Ramona.
Hi, yes, thank you for this very informative webinar. I am interested in how this data or this tool may be used for communities that have been designated as qualified opportunity zones and will be looking to attract investors into their communities.
Sure. So it depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for to open businesses in a certain area? Is that what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
communities.
We do have a tool called the Census Business Builder, and it is a very user-friendly tool. It is available on our site as well under Data, and if you select Data, Tools, and Apps, the Census Business Builder is there. Basically, there are two different editions, and you just answer one or two questions depending on which edition you select. And all the information is there. It's a data tool that combines our economic, geographic, and demographic data, and it's very user-friendly. So if you need assistance with this, you can also call my office at 1-800-242-2184, and we can walk you through it. But pretty much, if you get on our site, you'll see that it's very user-friendly.
Now, will we be able to drill down to the census tract?
That depends. For more information on that, you can call my office because I'm not too sure on that. I know there are some things on there relating to tracts, but it's not available for everything.
Okay. I'll give you a call.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Next question will come from Alicia Martin. Your line is open, ma'am.
Hi. I just had a couple of questions. The first one is, for collecting any data, do each of the survey resources include deeper data like the age groups or the gender or ethnicity for topics of employment or housing or other kinds of data I can collect?
So I want to make sure that I understand your questions correctly. So are you saying that you are looking for demographic data such as age or other related demo data for employment? What type of employment?
So, yeah, like for any kind. So if I'm trying to look for age groups in employment or housing or education, am I able to find that, or does it only go over like just general information given in the data system?
Okay, so that data is available from our demographic side of the house. So today's presentation is on our economic programs. If you contact me at the number 1-800-242-2184, I can definitely give you a point of contact for the demographic side so that you are able to obtain the data that you are looking for.
Okay, and the other question is, does the data cut off any certain age or groups, or does it show all the data no matter how significant? Because I know I've searched for some data like Statistical Atlas, and they cut off like a huge chunk of the senior citizens I was trying to look for data. And I was just wondering, does that do that also, or it doesn't have all the information?
So I'm sorry to say that I do not have extensive knowledge of the demographic program area, and so I would not be able to give you the answer on that. And once you contact me and I can provide you with a point of contact, you can definitely ask that question, and they should be able to know because they are the subject matter expert for that area.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Next question will come from Chung Fung Cheng. Your line is open, ma'am.
Yes. I have a question regarding to the information on health insurance. Sorry, I missed that part during the seminar. I'm interested to explore, the health data within community, including that related to health policy, and also how many health insurance and into what extent that the business sector provided. So where is the link that I can locate that information?
Okay, so you're referring to the MAPS IC program that was discussed in the presentation. So that is, the link is within the presentation itself. I'm not sure about the slide number at this moment, but it's towards the end. Let me see.
Will you be able to show me the slide one more time on the screen so that I can locate the information? Because I was disrupted by a student earlier, so I missed that part.
Okay, so Deb will be sending you the link through the chat. She is doing it right now. So it should be page numbers.
Sorry. No, you're fine. You're fine. Slide number 35.
Okay, so it should be when you gain access to the slides, it should be number 35, and it should be for the next few slides. And also you'll have access in a few moments as Deb sends it through.
Oh, okay. Also, one more question is regarding to the employment. The information that you have been present in the workshop, I think is very helpful. But is there a specific information that can help us to locate like employment or job opportunity and related to the educational level within the community level at the, for example, based on the zip code?
Okay, so something that you were talking about might come from one of our programs that was not discussed today. And basically, if you send me that specific question, I will put you in contact with our subject matter expert for that area. But because it was not discussed today, we do not have that expert in the room with us today.
And the MAP IC program that you're just talking about, what is the smallest units that the data can provide it? Is that the individual? Not the individual, right?
Okay, so that is from our sponsor, and I do not want to take the liberty to answer any questions for our sponsor, and that's let me see here, because they do provide the data. So if you follow that link, there is on their site a point of contact there. So for our sponsored surveys that were discussed today, I don't want to answer questions for them, as I might misrepresent something.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I can obtain that data from the sponsor, right?
Yes.
And can you tell me the sponsor again? Who is the sponsor?
It's the Department of Health and Human Services, and the agency. The agency is. I don't have it offhand right now. Let me see here. It's the Agency for Healthcare and Research and Quality.
Oh, okay.
And that's on slide 36. So
okay.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Our next question will come from Patrick. Your line is open, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm an economic developer working for a local unit of government. I'm interested in attracting new companies to my area and the jobs that are associated with the new capital expenditures. Is there some kind of a combined report that has both the expenditure elements of the ACES report and the business dynamics survey that will show me who's creating jobs in a local geographic area? Or are there any other hidden, quote-unquote, hidden gems that could help me identify fast-growing sectors of the economy at the local level?
So it's not one-stop shop where it's going to be a combination of the data from ACES and BDS combined where you can get that answer. But basically there is also another program that we have called, the acronym, I know the acronym is Longitudinal Employment Household Dynamics or something. I know we all work in acronyms, so sometimes it's hard to remember stand for. But if you email me the question directly, I can get you in contact directly with the people from the BDS, and they should be able to help you because it seems like what you're talking about comes out of that area, but the other program that I just mentioned, the LEHD or the LED, actually may be something that you might investigate as well. But I want to see your question in its entirety and also be able to forward that question over to our subject matter experts so they can see it.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Lee.
You're welcome.
Our next question will come from Beverly. Your line is open.
Hi. Hi, Linda. This question is on under commercial and real estate development, as I have clients that want to build subdivisions or apartments in our area, and now more and more people are asking for feasibility studies, which I don't provide. But is there an alternative that I could provide them through Census that has information on market statistics, housing, gap analysis? The other question about jobs coming or employers coming, is there any data that I could access through the Census?
So we have a vast of information that would be able to assist in your analysis. One of the first things that we would need to do, which is to determine which type of variable you're looking for, and specifically, and once we pinpoint that, we can definitely look at some of the data that we have that would be able to assist you in putting something like that together. I would suggest that you send something to me directly, and I will go ahead and send it off to the people that I believe would be able to assist you best.
Okay, thank you very much.
Operator, this is Deb Rivera. I just wanted to ask, how many questions do we still have on queue?
I have 2 left in the queue, ma'am.
Okay, great. We'll answer those 2 questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Our next one will come from a party that represents kilowatts hour. Your line is open, ma'am.
Yes, Ms. Linda Lee. Appreciation for this is amazing, revealing the consensus machinations working behind the count. We were hoping to do something similar, I guess, with power data or something. The reveal is people's telecommunications bills or whatnot pay off for the amount of valuation that it would be attracting industry commerce and livability to areas, or to have that included, I guess, as a measure. I was trying to download your current APIs, APKs, and do something, I guess, integral that is involved with an ETF deck with E-Trade, and I wasn't sure if you had maybe like either a developers like group. I know your Slack group is probably that heading that direction to get an invite to that. Is that implicit, or could that be some sort of I don't know, option for these sort of advancing real estate and then advancing airspace real estate as how much of a configure that you would expect to be able to get data transfer and connectivity in a particular area for certain clusters of networks. as a measure.
So I'm not sure if I understand your question completely. You're looking for data connectivity for a certain area?
Well, we have like a measure. It's called the unit of inquiry, and it's like based on a React sort of command, and then it sort of like enables networks then to act appropriately. It's like, oh, we have an issue that is, of a consensus, that we have like a popular consensus we need to action, and then to be able to have something that is an appropriate way of acting in that, either triggers a release on the database of funds, they need funds, throw money at it, it's a problem, whatever, or else we need to have like a configuration of, some sort of, if it's a healthcare crisis, a HL7, whatever, okay, we need, suddenly to, open up, the vaults or the training or the, extension of like, in-office visits of, healthcare, personnel. We need to get, all of the devices, concentrated to a particular. This is kind of maybe sounds like military or some sort of like, industrious, but I thought it was just kind of like, civilian wear, just kind of, absolutely integral to, our processing as a higher advanced population of, involved. So basically what I was trying to just get was a measure of this inquiry, whether it be kilowatt hours power, whether we could put power back into the grid through our data, wireless power transfer, or if this is something that, would take up with the survey, since y'all are pretty much the source of all, countable data that I guess is referenced or kept longer even than the IRS. I guess the strength of your database, I guess, is what I was trying to like perform an absolute measure to include a field in your database structure. How would one go about proposing that sort of option?
Okay. So I have to let you know that what you just mentioned does not sound familiar and could possibly be out of scope for our agency and the surveys and data that we collect. I do know of a particular program that we conduct, and I'm not sure if that's going to be something that kind of aligns what you're looking for. In fact, I don't think it is. But just to make sure just that we leave no stone unturned, I would like for you to please send me that question, and I will forward it over to the area that I have in mind. And but I just want to also let you know that it does not sound like something that we have are able to provide to you, but I just want to make sure that that is the truth.
Oh, for certain. I'll definitely write, respond to your, and respond in kind to you, advancing. Just a quickie, is the Slack channel something where you go often to answer questions in Q&A, or is that just kind of like, it's there? Or is it like one of those high prize sort of invites to achieve? Or is
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm a little bit confused by the question, and anything that you would like to know, please just put it in the email. That'll give our subject matter expert the time to review and get back to you. But based on what you described so far, I believe that we do not have what you're looking for, but as I mentioned earlier, I want to make sure that we leave no stone unturned, so in case there's something out there that I'm not fully aware of. So please go ahead and detail your questions over in an email and send it to me, and I will have it addressed.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. It's Linda. I appreciate much appreciation for your time and quality of advance. Thank you.
Our next and last question will come from Tim Dolan. Sir, your line is open.
Well, hello. Thank you. Good afternoon. Tim
Hi.
from New Hampshire. Hello, Linda and everyone. Thank you again to Linda, Deborah, and the entire team for the presentation. Very good. I really haven't spent any time on the database recently, so I think some of these questions might be novice level. I don't want to overstay my welcome. On the reporting period, is that always a calendar year or government fiscal year, or does it vary by industry?
So it is program-based. So an annual is going to be typically the calendar year. A quarterly is just the typical quarter that you know of. It's not an unusual. I think your question is based on how some companies or some areas have fiscal years that end in the middle of the year.
Yes.
But ours is pretty straightforward.
So it's calendar, you say?
Yes.
Okay, good. You spoke about the reporting granularity. You said it went down to the zip code. Does it come back up to like a metropolitan area here in New Hampshire? Manchester, New Hampshire would include a couple smaller towns.
Yes, it does.
Okay, good. User discussion groups for self-support. Is there any type of discussion group that users can go to and not bother you folks, which again I know would be more of a consulting activity on your part, but to say, why was there a blip in Q1 of calendar 2010 in this industry? So the question is, there a user group?
So we do not have that available as a feature, and a good reason why we would prefer for you to contact us is so that you receive the appropriate and the correct answer directly from our subject matter experts, because although users can be extremely advanced in their knowledge, but if you want the answer, the absolute correct answer, you would want to speak to our experts. So
Okay.
it's fine. If you have a question, you can go ahead and forward it to us, and we will just refer you to the appropriate area. And they welcome the questions, and so it's not a problem.
Okay, all right. And the very last question is, I saw most of the reports went from the past to calendar 2017. And it doesn't sound, well, actually, I guess it went to 2016 because you said 2017 has not been reported yet. Are there any reports that, I thought I saw some slides that had 2018 data.
Okay.
Is that correct?
So that depends on which program you're looking at. So the 2018 data, that I believe you were looking at the quarterly financial report. Because it is quarterly, it is timely, and we do have quarters within the 2018 year. For the other ones that you saw for 2016 or 17, those are probably our annual programs. So that is why the years differ, because there are different programs that were referenced.
Okay. So I need to spend more time to find out what data is more timely that would meet my needs. That's my information. All right, that'll do it. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Beautiful presentation and delivery.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and send them to me directly, and I will make sure that they get addressed. Have a great day.
At this